I must ask an elder for the permission to speak. Thank you, thank you. First of all, just wanting to acknowledge and give thanks for those wonderful, warm words and spiritual guidance that's led us through procession to this point. Professor Babalawo, Gus John, Reverend Ivelaw Bowman, Elder Joe Benjamin, and the wonderful chairmanship of Brother and Elder Devon Thomas, who has held the wonderful steering group together very well. And I'd just like to thank you for all the work that you've put into getting all of this together. Today is a wonderful day. Seeing the square being used in the way that it's being used, and we're moving off after this to the library, reflecting on 1981 and issues relating to 1981, and all of the type of experiences, some of which reported in the media, some of it's just experienced and lived by normal people. So today is a day of reflection, of sharing, of analysis, of contrasting, and of personalizing. You know, we need to talk about our own personal relationship, because a lot has been said, but this was lived by real people that have lived in Brixton and struggled and contributed, brought up families and done great things. Not everything has been reported, and actually when we think about Brixton and Lambeth, it's often a sensational press, but actually, you know, we've lived great lives at times. We've also struggled hard at times, so it's often a complex and mixed story, most of which has never been said. Let me start off myself in terms of that personalizing. In 1981, what was I doing? In fact, I should be asking you, for those that are with us in 1981, what were you doing? Because as I said, a lot was reported. In 1981, I was 18 years of age, and I lived in Brixton Hill. I wanted to be a youth worker. I'm running around all over the place doing all sorts of stuff as a, you know, everyday young man. And obviously we know what then took place. Things kicked off. The language of uprising or riot wasn't part of my vocabulary. What was part of my vocabulary was that we was all going to Brixton. And then we know everything that followed after that. So it's really interesting the way in which words and definitions get created based upon experiences. Again, my personal, I am from Brixton. We had a shop on Relson Road, a Caribbean food shop. We would scrape fish, make dumplings, sell curry goat, and so on. Most of us are familiar with that food. We was on Relson Road, and my mother, she came down from Liverpool. My father came here in 1953, and through that we managed to create family and community on Relton Road. Later on we moved to Brixton Hill. To the right was Banji. Across the road was Peggy. Yeah, we have to give it a history, don't we? Yeah?
Words, man. Words.
Across the road was Peggy. We had the gambling house next door. Bishop was his name.
Yes,
do we
sir.
remember him?
Mr. Bishop.
I don't know where he is now. He's passed on.
No, he hasn't passed.
Has he not? No. He's still with us. Good, good, good. So again, these are the real live experiences of real people, you know. In 1981, while I was running up and down doing whatever I was doing, there was a group of people. This was before the forming of the Black Cultural Archive. In fact, this was before the forming of the African People's Historical Monument Foundation, that currently trades as the Black Cultural Archives. It's important that we get these definitions right. And so a meeting took place in 1981 with Queen Mother Moore. You may remember, for those of us who are familiar with our history, Queen Mother Moore is a major historical figure, Pan-African, Africanist, warrior, leader, queen.
Yes, sir.
And she would travel throughout the globe uplifting her people of African descent, met with Marcus Garvey, met with Kwame Nkrumah, and so on. These were her peers, yes? And she would travel up and down, and she lectured, and she done all sorts of stuff to try to get our people, you know, from off of our knees. And she met with a group of people. This was before the forming of the Black Cultural Archives, and if we are to commemorate, it's very important that we remember those people that were involved in the forming of ideas. The forming of ideas that then later become the types of celebrations that we're having today. And so, Queen Mother Moore met with Len Garrison, met with Makeda Kuston, Askala Miriam, Amelda Inyang, Sag Dala, and his wonderful wife in their house. And it was from these early discussions, a group came together, formed themselves into a board of trustees, and the Black Cultural Archives was born. Or I should say, the African People's Historical Monument Foundation was born. It's a bit of a mouthful, so we call it the Black Cultural Archives. Okay, so that's really important. Now, how do I know this? Because as you said, I was running up and down the streets of Brixton, doing all kinds of things. How do I know this? I know this because I've gone to the records in the archive. I've gone to the records in the archive. The records are really important. When our memories fade, when the stories are not being told, we need to go to the records. Where are the records? This was the thing that Queen Mother Moore was very, very serious about. And so too was Len Garrison. And so that's why they ran up and down the place to make sure that there was the evidence and a repository for black presence in the UK, for present and future generations to learn, to make sure that they're clear that there is a history, a rich history, and that history must be known and celebrated.